Hi everyone, welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings, Kotori's Route, episode 10. So we had a pretty productive episode in episode 9 where Aoi was teaching Kotori how to handle a stall and how to recover from one. And on top of that, we had Akari and Masasugu of the student council watching them from below. It's like, well, I want to see progress on this Soaring Club. And on top of that, Amane gave them hope that, well, there's a good chance that the Morning Glory Clouds will come again this year. And unlike last year where it was like a Morning Glory Cloud but it wasn't, this one will most likely be the real Morning Glory Clouds. But the catch is that this Morning Glory Clouds is 2 kilometers above sea level. And I'm not sure how they're going to achieve that altitude, given that they're using thermals and other land masses to try to get lift. And so far, they're only able to get it to almost 1,000 kilometers. So hopefully Aoi, Kotori, and Ageha and Amane and the twins, so Asa and Yoru, will have some plan or some technique to help them achieve that altitude. But anyways, it looks like Kotori's done with her training, or she's tired and it's time for a landing. So Asa's like,
おかえりなさい、小鳥先輩、葵先輩。ただいまー。疲れた。
So Kotori, who was transferred from the cockpit seat to the wheelchair, looked completely exhausted. Well, you flew quite a bit today, so it was helpful. And I was also tired. And training practice and the constant attention to safety still made me nervous.
おかえりなさい、ハバネさん。生徒会長、来てたんだ。下から見させてもらったわ。あなたたちが夢中になるのもわかる気がする。
So Akari knows about Kotori very well ever since she first transferred to Keifu Academy. It's like, well, it is quite rare to see someone in a wheelchair at the school.
でしょ?
So on the ground, for who knows how long, Kumoi and Masasugu waited.
さっきね、800メートルくらいまで上がったのよ。なんなら生徒会長も後で乗ってみる?
Okay, so they got up to 800 meters, which is pretty good.
ええ。だけど、その前に。
Well, actually, before that, so what happened now? So, Kumoi-san, or Akari, for some reason had an unpleasant expression on her face. Ageha stuck out her head out from behind. So what happened now?
小鳥、ちょっといい? 何？あげ...
So Kotori looked behind Ageha's shoulder and was surprised to see another person standing there. But she was dumbfounded when she recognized who it was.
どうしてひばり姉が?
So Kotori's sister Hibari is here. And I don't think Hibari is pleased with Kotori flying. So Hibari stared at Kotori's look of disbelief. Her face turned pale and her knees began to quiver. And at first I thought she was angry, but she quickly regained her composure. It was Hibari that was shaking in anger. So she called Kotori's name with a quivering voice as she drew closer towards Kotori.
どうしてこんな... 違うの、お姉ちゃん。これは...
Sister, it's not what you see. Or One-chan.
これは...
So the explanation that Kotori wanted to give wouldn't come out.
あなたが乗っていたなんて。お願い、落ち着いてひばりね。私の話を聞いて。
Uh-oh. So the sharp sound echoed, and the people nearby immediately shrugged at the sound. And it was the sound of Kotori's sister, Hibari, hand striking Kotori across the face.
お姉ちゃん、あなたは自分がどうしてそんな体になってしまったのか忘れちゃったの？
So Hibari's tears mixed with her anger or her anguish cry. Her knees trembled, and she was in shock so much that she might physically collapse. And it wasn't anger, but fear.
忘れてないよ。でもこれは気球じゃない。私たちが作ったグライダー。
But you know, this is different than what caused my injury.
同じよ。このことをお父さんやお母さんが知ったらどうなるか。待って、それだけはやめて。そんなことしたらお父さんたちがどうなるか分かってて隠してたのね。ごめんなさい。でも
I'm sorry.
このことはお父さんたちに言うから。
Well, I gotta report this to the father right away. And Hibari wouldn't hear another word with a cold voice and turned her back to Kotori and walked away.
待って、お姉ちゃん。
Kotori tried to chase after Hibari, but Hibari left too quickly.
お姉ちゃん。
So Kotori watched Hibari's back disappear behind a wall of eyes full of tears. So with the finishing operations done, we headed back to the office. So apparently it looks like Kotori's family does not condone Kotori being in the glider, and we can kind of see a little bit about why. And it was because Kotori's injury, what caused it is kind of similar to the glider.
小鳥は？
So where's Kotori? She just went home. For the time being, we should just try to keep it down.
そうね。で、結局何だったの？あれは。
So after that, the mood changed. Everyone silently finished the last procedure of the day, which is to clean up. And while everyone gathered at the office, I headed up to Kotori's dorm room. So Kotori's legs got that way from an accident. An accident that involved a hot air balloon crashing on its way to the destination. And the trip was offered through a service that offered sightseeing packages. And Kotori was riding in the hot air balloon with her mother. And then it crashed. And everyone seemed to have only minor injuries. Well, everyone except for Kotori.
だからって、あの取り乱しようは普通じゃなかったわ。ひばりさん、まるで目の前で事故が起こったみたいに震えてたよね。
Well, at that time of the hot air balloon incident, Hibari and her father were standing close enough to see it happen. And Hibari undoubtedly saw Kotori getting out of the glider and probably brought back those memories. So it's like, seeing someone land from the air to the ground, it kind of reminded her of, or Hibari of the hot air balloon crash. So Kotori was hiding the fact that she was flying from Hibari. And I'm guessing that she didn't want to worry anyone.
そんな事情があったなんてね。
So Ageha seems to swore to secrecy. And Hibari knew that Kotori was in the Soaring Club, but she probably assumed that Kotori was just helping to service the glider or something else. So basically just doing ground support, running the winch, or maintaining it, and it's someone else that's doing the flying.
あの人の家庭の事情はよく知らないけれど、娘がグライダーに乗ってるなんて知ったら、ご両親はさぞ心配するでしょうね。
小鳥先輩がコックピットから降りてくるのを見たとき、ひばりさん、真っ青でした。どうしようかね、これから。
Well, I don't know for now. Well, let's try to talk with Kotori later. I'm sure they need more time for Kotori to settle down before they can go talk to her. So that, and we can try and contact Hibari. Well, I still couldn't believe that Hibari slapped Kotori. Well, that she was that angry. So I wonder if things have calmed down now.
お姉ちゃんのこと悲しませちゃった。いつも私のこと一番に考えて優しくしてくれてたお姉ちゃんなのに。でも私飛びたいんだもん。
Well, despite my injuries, I don't want that to hold me back.
お姉ちゃんやお父さんやお母さんに心配かけたくないけど、どうしても飛びたいの。どうすればいい？ねえ、ハット。
I'm not sure if Hat can give much help to Kotori.
どうして私は飛びたいんだろう。
Well, I think it's the fact that, well, I don't want my injuries to hold me back. So I don't want it to basically have the feeling that, oh, I have disability in the legs, and that means I should stop flying, period. It's like, I don't want that to happen.
今日はすみませんでした。お見苦しいところをお見せしてしまって。
No, well, I'm sorry for intruding. I understand your concerns. So on my way home, I call Hibari to try and explain the situation. And why Kotori decided to join the Soaring Club. And what kind of activities the Soaring Club does. And without hiding anything. So hopefully Hibari will understand what Kotori is doing, and it's not much of a shock to Hibari.
クラブ活動のおかげなんですよね。小鳥ちゃんが元気になっていったのは。
But then again, I do see that Kotori is happier than before. Well, I agree.
でも。
Well, I've heard about the situation from Kotori's. She really is stressing about you, Hibari. Well, thanks to you, she's been really down. So she said when she calmed down, she'll try to call you then.
ありがとうございます、水瀬さん。私からもメールをしてみます。今は感情的になってしまって、ちゃんと話せそうにないので。
Okay, so please talk to her then. So after I got out of the phone, I sighed. And from where I stood, I could see Kotori's bedroom window, but the light is still on. So she's probably exhausted from crying and fell asleep. So she's not asleep and is able to greet Aoi. Thanks. So Kotori stood at the entranceway playing with Hat. So she wore a mask that smiled, undoubtedly trying to be brave.
もうお腹ペコペコよ。早 くご飯にしましょう。
So want to eat something?
双子シスターズは？
Oh, so they went to get some ramen, and I heard them say, well, they'll go and get something to eat. So Kotori's asking, oh, so where are these twins? And it's like, well, they're out.
ラーメンか。いいの？
So she was really considerate of my feelings. And Kotori promptly went to the refrigerator and began pulling out the ingredients for dinner.
今日はハヤシライスだったわね。牛肉解凍しなきゃ。マッシュルームはと。
So anyways, are you okay?
どうかな。多分平気じゃないと思う。
Well, I'm not perfect, but I'm okay. Okay. Well, I know Kotori's trying to come across as happy. But somehow there was this crack in her mask of pleasantries.
お姉ちゃんとは落ち着いてから話してみる。黙ってたこと謝りたいし。でもお父さんたちには内緒にしとかないといけない。
To keep them from being worried. Kotori shakes her head.
お父さんにバレたら無理やりにでも家に連れ戻されちゃうもん。
Well, I'm sure that's understandable. It's like, well, I think it's best for you to be at home. And if you remember, Kotori actually found some excuse to leave home. And she lied about, well, I like engineering and science.
だから今はまだ黙ってないと。
But Hibari said she called Dad later today.
やめてってお願いするつもりよ。夏休みが終わるまでって期限付きで。そしたらあとは自分で話すわ。もしお父さんとお母さんがグライダーに乗っちゃダメって言うなら、その時はすっぱり諦める。この夏で引退ってわけ。去年のあまねちゃんみたいでしょ。
Well, I guess I'll retire then. Wait, Kotori?
だから葵くんも。
So what about you then? I got it. So I got your back.
ありがとう葵くん。
So Kotori, who smiled as she thanked me, well, despite the large tears that had formed in her eyes and were ready to spill.
あれなんだろう。なんで今頃泣いてるの私。
So Kotori, with both hands, wiped away her tears.
安心したからかな。葵くんが味方してくれるって分かって。
Well, you don't have to say it like this. So I leaned over to Kotori nearby me and hugged her gently. And Kotori buried her face in my shoulders and sobbed.
お姉ちゃんに叩かれたの初めてだよ。
So I was
すごいびっくりした。
So I was bad. I really hurt my sister, and well, Hibari has always been kind.
そうなの。優しいの。私の周りには優しい人いっぱいなの。なのに私自分勝手で。
So I pet Kotori's hair and said nothing as she cried herself out.
「以上が昨日起こった出来事に関係する我が家の事情です。
But for now, let's just resume our usual activities.
みんな迷惑をかけてごめんなさい。
So after explaining the situation to everyone, Kotori gives a deep bow. And as I had already told everyone about the balloon incident and her staying quiet about the glider to her parents and Hibari, no one was shocked to hear her tell it.
それはいいんだけどさ。
So I wonder if this is going to be okay.
あんたは続けられるの？
So are you not going to quit then?
そのつもり。少なくともこの夏が終わるまではね。
どういうことですか？
ひばり姉にお願いしたの。夏休みが終わったら自分で話すから、それまでお父さんたちには黙っててって。
So I had Hibari make sure don't spill anything out to the dad. Hibari had seemed a bit disappointed at the idea, but ultimately had agreed to Kotori's request. Okay, so I'll take your word. No matter what, Kotori is her little sister.
お父さんたちがグライダーのこと知ったら反対すると思う。それだけじゃないわ。きっと無理にでも家に連れ戻されちゃう。
So if they find out about it, then I'm going to be forced to move back.
そんな。
だからお父さんたちがダメって言うなら、私はこの夏で部活を引退するつもり。
引退って。待ってよ、そんなの。
ごめん、アゲハ。
So Ageha bit her tongue as Kotori apologized. She knew that persisting would only cause more trouble for Kotori.
ソアリング部に席を置いていても飛びさえしなければいいんじゃないの？
Well, I don't think that's going to give any confidence to Hibari and Kotori's parents. Kotori shook her head.
多分関わることも許してくれないと思う。それにもう信じてはくれないだろうし。
So basically, Kotori already broke the chain of trust. It's like, well, if Hibari saw Kotori doing ground support, then she wouldn't mind, but she saw Kotori flying. Well, we don't know how her father would react until it actually happens. But she did keep it a secret. And it would be naive to think you could be trusted again after that.
それにみんなのおかげで私はもう空を飛ぶ気持ちよさを知っちゃったから。二度と飛べないって分かってるのにグライダーの近くに居続けるなんて多分無理。みんな自分で蒔いた種だからしょうがないわ。自己責任ってやつね。
So Asa started to look sad. And Yoru also didn't seem convinced.
じゃあ私も引退かな。
It's like, well, Kotori, if you quit, then I might as well quit too. Hey, so what did you just say?
だってさ、私は楽しいからやってるわけ。楽しくないならやる価値なし。小鳥がいないならもうやんぴ。
So looking disappointed, Ageha folded her arms behind her head. Well, quitting.
バカなこと言わないでよ。せっかくここまでやってきたんじゃない。あまねちゃん飛ばすためにみんなでグライダーを修理して、ガレージ壊されちゃった後も朝たちのおかげでこんな立派な活動場所を見つけて、やっと機体の改良ができてまた飛べるようになって、ようやく。
だからでしょ。
Oh, sorry, I went too fast. Hold on.
やっと機体の改良ができてまた飛べるようになって、ようやくまともに活動できるようになったんじゃない。
私はグライダーでも何でもよかったの。ロボット部の方が楽しけりゃあっち続けてたと思う。
So for Ageha's like, well, I don't have to be part of the Soaring Club. I just find it more interesting. And without Kotori, it's not going to make the Soaring Club interesting. And I probably might as well just quit and go back to the Robotics Club.
でも葵や小鳥や天音先輩とものづくりする方が面白いから私はこっちを選んだの。
There you go.
小鳥、あんたと何かするのが楽しかったの。そのあんたがいなくなっちゃうんじゃん。なんかもうつまんない。
アゲハ。
So Kotori gave Ageha a look filled with both happiness and frustration. Well, I agree.
葵くんまで。
So I didn't only want to fly the glider. Yeah, well, it was fun. I liked it a lot, but still. So it was only fun because you were all here. And if all I wanted to do was to fly, I could have just gone to gliding school and just flown until I was sick of it. And it was amazingly fun, and I didn't want to quit. So it wasn't what I truly wanted, though. And if we can't do it together, then
朝のことはどうすんのよ。
So Asa looked as if she was about to cry.
私はいいんです。終わってしまうのは悲しいですけど、皆さんの熱い友情も素敵ですし、それに私だって同じです。空を飛んでみたいからソアリング部に入ったんじゃありません。皆さんの仲間に入りたくてソアリング部に入ったんです。
朝。
無理しちゃって。
Well, I'm sure that's what Asa really feels. And it's not... Or you're always thinking that Asa's trying to fake her allegiance to the club.
無理してないもん。本当だもん。
No, it's true.
まあそうよね。ただ飛びたいだけならおじいちゃんにお願いすれば一発だものね。
Well, we can always have other ways to fly, so I can just have our grandpa buy us a nice airplane or a nice glider, and then we can just go from there.
ってことで、あんたが引退するならソアリング部は即時解散ね。
ダメよ、そんなの。責任感じちゃうじゃない。
感じればいいんじゃないかしら。実際あるわけだし。
So, you are the club leader.
あんたらって。
話をまとめるわよ。夏が終わるまでは今まで通り全力でモーニンググローリーを目指す。その後は知らん。ある意味今までと何も変わってないわね。
So for now, we just can focus on the morning glory, because once that is achieved, then we can start thinking about other things that we can do.
頑張りましょうね、小鳥先輩。
So you can almost say this problem made us all closer. At least it seemed like everyone felt that way.
葵、ついでにあの話もしとく？
So okay, now let's go on to flying techniques. Okay. Well, about the flight, that is, when Morning Glory makes its appearance... So, Kotori, you're gonna be the pilot then. So, frustrated by having her hands held back by Asa, Kotori listened to me dumbfounded. So you got enough skill to be the pilot. You don't have enough experience, but I'll help you with that.
でも、葵くんだって自分で飛びたいんじゃ。
So, can I do it? Well, yeah, so that's true, but it's fine with me as long as somebody flies over the clouds.
アゲハたちはそれでいいの？
So what about everyone else?
私はほら、別に飛びたいわけじゃないから。他に乗りたい人がいるなら、譲るのはやぶさかじゃないってところね。
私は先輩たちがそれでいいならいいです。
私はただの部外者です。
Well, I'm not part of the club. Remember that, says Yoru.
みんな、ありがとう。私のために。
So Kotori looks as if she's about to cry with tears of joy.
ああ、一つ訂正しとくけど、別にあんたのためじゃないからね。私は私のためにやってるの。
Well, I hope Ageha doesn't spoil the mood.
私もです。
But everyone says, well, same here, same here, same here.
Me too.
So, not knowing how to take it all, Kotori begins to show a complex mix of emotions. And I almost laughed at the odd combination of tears and look of bemusement on her face.
だから遠慮なんかするなってこと。
So don't think about quitting. So you can fly if you want to. So Kotori started to cry again, and this time with a smile on her face. I'm back! So Kotori's pretty much in a dilemma because she knows that her parents won't let her fly because it's going to remind them of the injury that Kotori got. It's like, well, she might get injured more because the glider is more dangerous, or kind of like what happened with the hot air balloon incident. But then if Kotori quits, the other members are going to quit as well, and the Soaring Club will cease to exist. So hopefully we can find some balance between these two conflicting ideas. So something is scribbled on the dining hall table. So I'm going home for a bit. From Kanako.
今日はカナいないんだ。
Seems so.
朝も夜もいないし、二人っきりね。
So basically, everyone else is gone. Seems so. And since it was Asa and Yoru's turn to watch over the secret base, they're going to spend the night over there. And they said they would be eating over there and had bought some snacks at the convenience store, so it feels like they're having a trip. So even though we realized it was going to be just the two of us, we pretended to ignore the fact.
汗かいちゃったから顔洗ってくる。
So Kotori left the dining hall. I guess I'll get changed. And for some reason I started to worry about the smelly, sweaty. I decided to head back to my room and get changed.
いい？呼ぶまで絶対入ってきちゃダメよ。
Are you really alright?
大丈夫だってば。ハト、葵くんが入ってこないよう見張ってて。
So Hat, make sure Aoi does not sneak in.
もし入ってきたら遠慮なく攻撃していいからね。
And if he does, you can go ahead and peck him. Sure. So Hat menacingly flapped his wings my way. And shrugging my shoulders, I left the room. So it seems that Kotori's making dinner tonight. Okay. So since she doesn't want me to see how she cooks, she kicks me out from the kitchen. So I was like, well, it's a surprise and I don't want you to see it until it's ready. I wonder if she really is okay. Well, maybe she'll cut herself with a knife or burn herself on the stove. I'm sure Kotori is smart enough to avoid that. Unlike Amane with her poor handling skills and Asa being clueless. So, starting to become anxious, I tried to peek through the gap in the door, but there was Hat keeping watch like a loyal guard dog. And I could bust my way through, but that would only make Kotori upset. So I was like, well, I don't want to disrespect Kotori, so she tells me to stay here, and So I like to avoid that kind of conversation tonight. But I am still worried. I could see from here I probably wouldn't be all that concerned. And not being able to see anything only made me worry more. In trying to listen in on what was happening, I suddenly realized something. So what did he realize? So, if Kotori's father knew about the glider, he'd probably feel the same way. And even if he didn't know anything about gliders, he generally understands what the Soaring Club does. And it's obvious they would simply be flying. So of course, he'd be extremely worrisome about something terrible happening to his daughter. It's probably only because Hibari frequently comes here and knows us all that she promised to wait until the end of summer. So I wonder who's calling Aoi. So the phone in the hall was ringing. So since I had a cell phone, it was almost never used, and it's ringing. So who's calling Aoi from a landline? So slipping past the gaze of Hat, the watchduck, I headed over to the entrance. So who could it be? Kanako? Hello, Flying Fish Manor.
管理人の水瀬さんはいらっしゃいますでしょうか?
So the caller was a man? Yeah, that's me speaking. So may I ask who's calling?
羽根小鳥の父です。
So my mind instantly went blank. Oh, hello. So, right now she's,
いえ、小鳥に用事があるわけではないんです。
So he quickly corrected me. Well then, so, how can I help you?
水瀬さん、あなたとお話がしたかったんです。
Me? So what could he want to talk to me about? So did Hibari tell him about the glider, or was he mad at me for not saying anything to him? Which means, is he planning to bring Kotori back home, or is he calling to talk about the arrangements? So I braced myself and listened to what Kotori's father had to say.
あなたにお礼が言いたくて。
Oh, so I'm just giving you my thanks. Okay, so it's nothing bad. Wait, thanks? Thank me?
はい。ひばりからいろいろと話を伺いまして。
So hearing him say Hibari's name made my heart stop. It's like, uh-oh. So I wonder if Hibari revealed the truth to the father. I quickly regained my composure. So if there was a problem, he would not be calling to thank me. But the way that he sounds is kind of normal. It's like, well, I'm happy about Kotori and,
先日あの子が小鳥が帰省してきてくれたのは水瀬さんのおかげなのだと。
But you know, you've been supporting Kotori and she's now happier than ever. Okay?
帰るのを渋るあの子を説得してくださったとか。
Well, I didn't really do much.
おかげで久しぶりに家族の時間を過ごすことができました。ありがとうございました。
Well, you called just to thank me?
お恥ずかしながらこんなことを言われても戸惑わせるだけだろうと分かってはいるのですが、どうしてもお礼を言いたくて。
But you know, it was you that was a factor in making Kotori more comfortable and wanting to come home. And that should be something good to thank you about. No, don't worry. Well, about it all, I'm glad to help, even if it's a little bit. So I paid him a little lip service since I didn't know what else to say. And he sounded to be about the same age as my own father. So yeah, Kotori is happy too. And she really seemed really happy when she was talking about her time at home and the zoo.
あの子がですか?
Really? So he seemed surprised and gracious at the same time. And such a simple thing really seemed to make him happy. Well, I'm sure it means a lot to the father that Kotori came home. Well, I can't tell him about the pandas. So were the things she was most excited about. I don't think that's a problem.
そうですか。あの子がそんな風に。
But anyways, she's happy, so. Yeah, she was. And I wasn't lying. She did really seem to be happy when I'm talking about being with her parents.
ひばりやクラス担任の先生からそちらでの様子を伺っていたのですが。
So even Kotori's homeroom teacher had spoken with him too. And I hadn't thought about the possibility, even though it's extremely obvious to me now.
クラスで浮いていることや特定の科目の成績だけ極端に悪いということも聞いていました。
So also, Kotori has been coming into class more often instead of being absent. And that could be because of Aoi, who helped Kotori connect with everyone else.
親しい友人がいる様子はなく、だんだんと学校を休みがちになっていたとも。
So that was how Kotori was in the very beginning, and even Ageha was concerned too. So his voice was somber. And hearing that would make him worry. Well, it was heart-wrenching just imagining how he must have felt.
それが昨年の夏頃からだんだんと変わってきて、今じゃ友達もできて成績も安定しているとか。
Yeah, so when I started working here, she didn't seem to get along with the other boarders, but now she's talkative and good friends with everyone else. And I tried to be as cheerful as possible. And I wanted to make it seem as if he didn't need to worry as much anymore. That's good.
ひばりから伺っています。皆さんが来てくださったからだと。
And it's all because of you.
学校でも小鳥が周囲に馴染めるよう尽力くださったと伺っています。
Well, it wasn't just me. So there are other people involved too, like Ageha and Kanako and Amane and... Well, it was really all thanks to her meeting with Amane. There you go. And Ageha. There you go. And even the glider had a big impact. I didn't really do anything. But I didn't tell him that. So should I go get Kotori since you called? You may as well talk to her.
いえ、いいんです。
So he was surprisingly blunt.
あの子はまだ私たちを許してはくれていません。
So the slight cheerfulness that came to his voice had already faded.
あの子は隠していますが、私たちも気がついています。あの子が家を出たのは私たちのせいなんだと。あの子は本当は工学になんて興味がなかったのに。
So Kotori had lied about her interest in engineering and came to Keifu Academy. And her parents believed her, but came to realize it was a lie once they heard about her grades. And at the same time, the lie revealed another hidden desire. So my mom and dad always looked sad. It was like my life had ended. And that continued for so long, I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to leave the house. And that bitter smile had made it all way to her parents. And that was the reason Kotori's father had not come to see her all the way up until her recent trip back home.
あの子に嘘をつかせた責任は私たちにあります。
Well, it's kind of my fault too. So a deflated voice came out of the receiver. And it was obvious that he had been lying with this regret over the past few years.
あの子が家を出て行ってから我が家はまるで火が消えたようでした。けれどそんな家族がまた一つになれるかもしれない。 先日小鳥が帰ってきてくれた時は家内も喜んでまるで昔に戻ったみたいでした。あの子がそちらへ戻った後、家内と話していたんです。もしあの事故がなければきっと今頃毎日があんな風に過ごせていたんだろうって。
Yeah.
ですがまた一緒に暮らせるようになるかもしれない。これもみんな水瀬さんのおかげです。
But then again, it's all thanks to you. So I sense a tinge of sadness with his gratitude. And through that, I could tell he was sincere. Well, I think Kotori changed because she wanted to. And all I and everyone else did was simply be here with her. And it wasn't because of her legs. And you help friends, that's all there is to it. And changing a bit with the influence of your friends is natural. It would happen to anyone. And I wasn't sure if my message came across, but her father repeated thank you once again.
娘のことをよろしくお願いします。
But anyways, please take care of my daughter. So saying that, he hung up. So I hung up the phone with a sigh. So if he hadn't known about the girl glider, there is no way he would have spoken to me like this. Well, I didn't think I should have told him, however. So not knowing what to do left me with a heavy feeling.
電話してたの?
Okay, so Kotori now comes in. So what was, or who's on the phone? Oh yeah. So Kotori seemed to have come out of nowhere.
誰から?
Oh, the gardener. So I just figured that they need to come and do some work. So he's not going to reveal to Kotori that it was actually her father who called. And it's a way not to get Kotori all worked up and worried.
そう。ハットがあっちこっち続き回って荒れちゃってるものね。
So I lied without even thinking about it. Yeah, well, so is dinner ready? So I'm getting hungry.
できたわ。
Okay, so dinner was laid across the dining hall table, and Kotori was the person who made it all. Crockets? I love crockets!
お口に合うといいけど。
So a large pile of barrel-shaped crockets are sitting atop a large plate. And all of them were fried to a golden brown, but a few had crushed spots. Well, I think that's okay. And I quickly took my seat. Can I eat?
いいよ。
Okay. So I started to dig into the piping hot crockets. So these are great, but something's a bit different about this one.
そっちは肉じゃがコロッケよ。こっちのが普通のコロッケね。
Oh, so that's a regular crocket. It's different. Oh, so a meat and potato crocket? I never had one at times before. Oh, so it's a special crocket. Kotori seemed to enjoy watching me munch away of her cooking. So what do you learn to cook like this?
そのコロッケはね、お母さんの得意料理なの。
Oh, so what that means is, Kotori nodded. So she had made a promise to me a bit back. So since her mother taught her how to cook, she was going to make something for me.
ごめんね、遅くなっちゃって。なかなかいいタイミングがなくて。
Well, I'm sorry it took so long. So crockets do take quite a long time to make. And since we were busy every day at the club, she never had time. Okay, so this is what your mom's cooking tastes like then.
お姉ちゃんもまだ教えてもらってない秘伝の味よ。
So even my sister Hibari doesn't know how to make it. So the coating was crispy and the inside was delectably soft. And a few of them were a bit misshapen, but they were without a doubt delicious. Okay, so these are good with rice, so more please. And like a child, I lifted my rice bowl and Kotori happily wheeled off to get me some more.
どんどん食べてね。全部食べちゃってもいいから。
So you can have it all. So they were so good that I wanted to do just that, but there's just too many. And the large plate had 2 plates worth of croquettes piled up in a pyramid. And I ate as many as Kotori's croquettes as my stomach would allow. Ooh, I am full. Okay, so I had a really good dinner thanks to Kotori. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the episode here. This is a good place to stop. So, Kotori is kind of in a bind. She would like to be part of the Soaring Club and fly in the glider and go to the Morning Glory. But she knows that her parents are going to be worried about Kotori flying because it's going to remind her or remind them of Kotori's injuries. And so far, the father seems okay because he doesn't know about the details about Kotori being part of the Soaring Club. So he's been happily talking about, well, I'm very glad that you're here because you helped Kotori smile, you cheer her up, and you kind of connected her with everyone else. And now Kotori's more comfortable going home to visit us. And on top of that, she's doing much better in school. She's less withdrawn. But I'm sure when they do hear about that glider thing, that's going to rip the family apart. And I know Hibari's trying her best to keep it a secret, but even Hibari does have her concerns for Kotori, and she's not very positive at keeping this a secret, and she may reveal it at some point. But hopefully for now, things will go as planned, and they'll be able to make more progress on the test flights, and hopefully everything will go well by the time Morning Glory comes. So with that in mind, I'll see you in the next episode.